How fluid is it?
It's very fluid.
Yeah.
We're working probably 10 guys right now at different positions, moving guys around, trying to get the best combination. But more than anything, just trying to teach them the techniques, get a foundation, and it'll last them through the season. So if one guy goes down at one position, the next best guy can go in the game. So that's kind of what we're working right now.
Next best guy, even if it means you got to move one guy inside,
Absolutely.
one guy out.
You want to always have your best 11 on the field.
10 ready every Saturday? Is that kind of the goal? You want to have 10?
I would love to have 10 that you can win a football game with. That would be the ideal, optimistic view.
Lance, do you like to go with one set formation along the front, 4-man or 3-man, or do you like to switch, keep it multiple?
Well, I mean, based on game plan, you're going to do, whatever you feel like you got to do game plan wise, and we all work together on that. But I think it's important that you're multiple on defense.
Will Muschamp has been pretty open about how the secondary needs a lot of improvement. How important is having a pass rush going to be toward improving their numbers?
Oh, without question, our defensive line, we've got to improve in every area. Number one, stopping the run. But number two is effectively, affecting the quarterback. Whether it's sacks or hurries or just getting him off the spot, getting him out of his rhythm, we got to do a much better job, and we still have a long way to go with that, but the guys are working hard at it.
How difficult is it to try to get that in this day and age where the quarterback's often unloading the ball within 3 seconds?
3 seconds, in a second and a half. No, I mean the game's a perimeter game, and obviously the bubble pass, the quick, this quick screen, stuff like that. All that stuff's difficult. A lot more teams are going to sprint passes, and so then at that point you just got to keep the guy in the pocket. You got to affect him in his motion and just mechanics. But it's a challenge.
How optimistic are you that you'll have 10 you can win with by September 1st?
Well, I'm an optimistic guy, but I wouldn't want to make any projection on what we have right now. We got the guys we have. We're working them hard. They're working hard, and we're going to be in. Hopefully get them to the best they can be by the opener.
When will you feel like, or maybe you don't, but at some point do you feel like I'd like to have my rotation in my head? I want to have my 4 guys that I think are my starters, my next 4. Is that a process that you can take right up until August 31st? Or?
Well, the reality is we know what we have. The guys that are here are the ones we have. So those are the ones we're working to develop and to get them, like I'm saying, to perform the best we can. But in terms of who's going to be a starter, I'm not really concerned with who's a starter, who's not a starter, because second series there's going to be a new guy in the game possibly. So with that being said, they all got to be able to perform at a high level and be able to play winning football on a consistent basis.
Coach, what has Quay shown you at defensive tackle?
Quay's a guy that we're working at multiple positions because he is athletic, he's big and he's strong, and he's a very team-oriented guy. And he could have been selfish to have him a defensive end, but he's taken on the opportunity to get better inside, done a really good job. But again, it's about flexibility, and in the course of a season in this league, it's a physical league. You need as many of those big guys ready to go as you can get.
The fact you have so many juniors and seniors on your unit, does that help them in terms of retaining the stuff that you're teaching them?
Well, I mean, I have a lot of guys, I guess, that have that. I also have 6 freshmen or first-year players in there. The thing I look at is I got one guy that started really anything considerable, and that's Quay. He started last year and played some. I guess that was his first year here as a junior college guy. But other than that, nobody in the room has ever played any time that matters, that makes a difference. So that's what the challenge is getting those guys ready for prime time and to take the next step and be guys that can be counted on.
What has Shamik shown you this fall?
And Shamik's done a really good job, and especially in terms of coming off that injury that he had. The guys showed a lot of toughness. Obviously, his strength level's not where it was because of the injury, but he's a conscientious kid. He works hard, and we're just working to give him as good as we can.
What would you say his strength is percentage-wise?
What I like about Shamik the best is he's long, and he can run. Obviously, he's got to get his strength levels back up, but he's working hard at that. And like I said, he's a conscientious guy, but he's a guy I think he can develop. He's going to have an opportunity this year.
What's most stood out about DJ Wanham in kind of the early going?
DJ Wanham, for a true freshman, has got the mind of a senior. I mean, he sees the game. He's natural. He's reactive. We're all very encouraged and very happy with DJ Wanham.
Was that a surprise that he came in with that kind of mindset, or did you guys expect that?
Well, I mean, just from the type of kid he was, the program he played in, his family, he's got all the right intangibles, and a lot of things in this ball is you're putting a kid out there, and when you can trust him and it's a situation where he knows what he's going to do and what he's supposed to do, and he does it, has the discipline to do it, that's very encouraging as a coach. And he's that kind of kid.
Any other first-year guys that are along those lines?
Not in DJ's level. DJ's really performed at a high level. I mean we're pleased with Kier, we're pleased with Kobe and all the other guys that are here. But it's a process, and the closer to the line of scrimmage you play, obviously it's a different deal than when you're playing out back in your underwear. When you're getting hit in the mouth every down, you got to have a certain maturity and toughness about you to be able to handle that.
Have you seen what you guys wanted to see out of Boosie thus far?
You'd have to ask Mike Peterson. That Mike works with Boosie more than I do, but Boosie's working hard. He's a conscientious kid. He does a nice job.
During the evaluation process, what did you guys see in Ulrich to move him back to defensive line, and how's he done there?
Urich's coming along. He's a conscientious kid. He's got to play with better pad level, and he's got to learn to use his hands and feet at the same time. But really more than anything, just need. I mean, we had a huge void at defensive tackle for guys that have played any substantial, meaningful playing time, and that's just another option for us. But he's done a good job, and we've really been encouraged by it.
Has he shown the signs of being moved around on offense last year in terms of maybe trying to get back up to speed as a defensive player at all? Or?
I wouldn't know since I've been here, he's been a defensive lineman, so all I know is, he's worked with me since day one, and, he's a guy that he's a conscious kid. He wants to please you, but like I said, we got to work on pad level and strike and the defensive side of the fundamentals that are different than offense.
Is Dante Sawyer just an end, or are you cross-training him?
Right now, Dante's just been playing in. We're trying to get him to have that. Again, he missed spring with his injury, and that's the case with a lot of guys. We missed a lot of time in spring with guys that were coming off injuries. Him, Taylor, even Kobe to a certain extent. So that is what it is. But Dante's working hard. He's a guy that has an edge to him, has some toughness, and hopefully we can put him in some situations to make some plays this fall.
Any of the guys on the offensive line that just jump out at you constantly when you're looking at film or watching things during practice?
On our offensive line?
Yeah.
This is a real deal offensive line. These guys are good. DJ Park, Stanley, Zandy, those guys are real deals. They're big, they're physical, they're good kids, they're hard-nosed, all those guys. We got, and you know what? To me, that's the best thing about our situation right now is every day we're competing against a really good SEC offensive line. So, and I tell our guys, if we can compete against these guys and we can perform at a high level consistently against these guys, we're going to be okay when we get to Saturdays. So, that part has really been beneficial. Sean's been great. We've had a lot of drills against each other, and that does nothing but make our guys better. That's a good point.
Anything else for Coach?
Are
you a couple players out here? Are you coaching Darius English? Was he playing?
Darius is playing buck with Mike. Darius is doing a good job. He's done a good job coming back from spring. He's done a good job.